Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is July 16th, 2026, and Barcelona expect to be out of the one-to-one rule. I'm going to tell you what all that is about. Also, Barcelona are set to receive close to 3 million euros from FIFA. I'm going to tell you why. And finally, we have an update in regards to Marc Casado's future because the Barcelona Academy player has made some statements. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Bo. We'll begin this video with some upsetting news, I guess you could call it that, because Barcelona are expected to be out of the one-to-one rule by next summer of 2027. Now, as you know, this summer Barcelona return to the one-to-one rule. It hasn't been official yet, but Barcelona's calculations expect that once La Liga release the financial fair play for this upcoming season, they will be under the one-to-one rule. Of course, Tebas has also given positive updates, so it looks like Barca will be back under the one-to-one rule, which of course is the rule that allows Barcelona to spend and register players freely, because for every euro that you make, you can spend that euro on a signing, something that Barcelona has not been able to do for the past 5 or 6 years. But the bad news is that one-to-one rule will end next summer because Barcelona are expected to make less money. Why? Because, well, Barcelona next summer, they will be returning to the Olympic Stadium at Montjuic, the Stadium Luis Companys, because, as you know, Barcelona will start installing the roof on the Spotify Camp Nou by the end of this upcoming season. So in beginning of summer of 2027, that's going to take several months. And during those months while the roof is being installed, well, Barcelona won't be able to use the Spotify Camp Nou. So they're going to have to return to the Olympic Stadium. In fact, it's been revealed that Barcelona have already requested permission from the city of Barcelona to use the Olympic Stadium for the first half of the 2027-2028 season. Now, of course, what does playing at Montjuic have to do with the one-to-one? Well, the money made at Montjuic is going to be much less than the Camp Nou. Right, the Camp Nou, once at full capacity, is expected to host 105,000 people, but Montjuic can only host up to 55,000 people, so half the amount of capacity of the Camp Nou. And of course, once you factor in all the seats that are blocked, they're very close to the pitch because the visibility is very low, because after all, Montjuic is not a football stadium. It's an Olympic stadium, it's a track and field stadium. Once you factor those seats in, well, the capacity is reduced even further, not to mention things like VIP boxes or VIP seats are not as plenty at Montjuic. Plus, Montjuic has much more reduced attendance because not a lot of people want to go to the top of the mountain. It's a pain in the butt to get up there. In fact, I know because I went to the stadium. So all that means that, well, Barcelona are going to earn a lot less money during the first half of the 2027-2028 season. And not only is Barcelona losing money by moving stadium, but they also have to pay rent to the city of Barcelona to use that stadium. So that's even more money lost, and all this lost income will mean that Barcelona will not be under the one-to-one rule, and that is why Barcelona are going crazy this summer transfer market. Already signed Gordon, Adeyemi, Cancelo's currently being finalized with Al Hilal, and then after that, of course, Julian Alvarez, not to mention, we talk about Salinas, and maybe even more signings, and expect possibly more signings in the winter transfer market, because Barcelona are going to have to sign, for the next 2 years until Barcelona are back under the one-to-one rule again, hopefully in the summer of 2028. Anyway, speaking of Barcelona's income, the club are expected to receive 2,893,533 euros. So in other words, close to 3 million euros from FIFA for FIFA's revised club benefits program. Now, this is a program that FIFA has where it rewards clubs for the players that they end up sending to the World Cup. And of course, in this World Cup, Barcelona had 16 players. Now, under this revised program, Barcelona received 2,045 euros for every player in every match, qualifying match. In other words, for every Barca player that played a qualifying match, they received 2,045 euros, with Rafinha generating the most. He was called up to 13 qualifying matches. And as far as the World Cup itself, Barcelona received 4,330 euros for every player they had in the World Cup. So for all 16 players in the World Cup, for every day each one of those players was in the World Cup. And in total, Barcelona will receive close to 3 million euros, which is a reduction from last World Cup where Barcelona received 4.43 million euros in the Qatar World Cup. And that's because FIFA did revise its program because, of course, this edition had a lot more teams, a lot more players, so they had to reformulate the whole thing. So Barcelona going to receive around 3 million instead of the 4.43 they received in the 2022 Qatar World Cup. Now, it might not sound a lot of money, but 3 million euros is still 3 million euros for not having to do absolutely nothing. So, of course, this will help Barcelona financially. Now, on to good news, more good news, because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona are currently rebuilding their gym at the Ciudad Esportiva. Well, they're actually building a new top-of-the-line gym with cutting-edge technology, with the latest machines, with the latest everything. And this gym is currently being built right next to the first-team pitches, which will allow the first-team players to move seamlessly between the pitch and the gym. Now, this might not sound like something crazy or out of this world, but it will actually improve the flow of training because since the gym will be so close to the pitch, the coaches will be able to have players training on the pitch, doing exercises on the pitch, while at the same time having other players at the gym training simultaneously and then switch them back and forth. So this will improve the overall flow of the training. Now, this gym will also have some of the most advanced equipment that will allow the players to undergo specialized conditioning and rehabilitation programs. So not only will the players train with the best machines, but they're also going to be able to recover using the best machines. You know, this is after matches and recovery sessions, or even players who are recovering from injuries. And all this, of course, will help the fitness and the health of the players to keep them healthier and to keep them, well, as less exhausted as possible, because I don't think you could keep players not exhausted, especially with how hectic these calendars have become. Now, the second phase of improving Barcelona's facilities will be to build the first-team players' residence. This will be a state-of-the-art residence at the Ciudad Esportiva where players can rest. For example, a lot of times players have double sessions, right? A session in the morning, a session in the afternoon. They will be able to use those residences to rest in between the sessions. Also, a lot of times when they have away matches late at night and they fly back, they're flying back at 2, 3 in the morning. They take the bus from the airport to the Ciudad Esportiva. From there, the players have to get in their cars and drive to their homes. Here, if you have players' residences, well, they can sleep at those residences instead of having to drive home and then the next day wake up, do their recovery session at the gym, and then drive home. And, you know, that kind of course, saves on time. And, well, it also helps the coaches better plan the training sessions. Now, on to that next bit of news, because one player who did not train today with the team was Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. He missed today's training with the permission of the club, but not because he wanted to play video games at home or wanted to go partying, but that's because Ter Stegen is finalizing his move to Ajax, where he will join the Amsterdam-based clubs on a one-season loan, and where Barcelona will cover the most of his salary. This is, of course, a move that was requested by Mitchell himself, the former Girona coach, who is now the new Ajax coach. Mitchell's the one who requested for the signing of Ter Stegen while at Girona. Of course, that loan did not go well because Ter Stegen got injured as soon as he arrived. But hopefully this loan will be more fruitful. Hopefully Ter Stegen will get the minutes that he needs. He'll be able to recover his competitive rhythm, and hopefully that will help him find a new home next summer, whether it be Ajax or some other club. Because, of course, Ter Stegen does have a contract until 2028, but Barcelona no longer count on him since they have signed Joan Garcia, and he has an incredibly high salary. So we should all wish Ter Stegen the best. So hopefully he can find a new club by next summer and Barcelona can remove this huge salary off their wage bill. Now, speaking of exits, we will end today's video with an update in regards to Marc Casado, someone that, well, there's been a lot of talk about his future. Of course, Casado has always maintained that he wants to retire at Barca, that he loves Barca, that he wants to stay at Barca for as long as possible. But at the same time, he is 22 years old. He needs minutes to play. And while at Barcelona, he has not been getting them. In fact, he has been pretty much dead last on Hansi Flick's list of midfielders, when it comes to Pedri, Bernal, Frankie, Gavi, Fermin, and Olmo. Casado is behind all those players. So that has put Casado in quite a bind, where on one hand, he wants to stay at Barcelona, but on the other hand, of course, he needs minutes somewhere else. And while Casado was just asked about his future, and the Barcelona academy player had the following to say: there are still things we need to discuss with the coach, the sporting directors, and my agent. We'll do that over the coming weeks and then decide. Nobody can doubt that I want to stay here. If someone tells me they don't want me, then we'll have to find the best solution for everyone. As a Barca fan, I want what's best for the team and the club. If they think I should stay, I'll stay. If they believe it's better for the club that I leave so the team can continue growing, then I will go. Incredible words by Marc Casado, saying that, well, there's an upcoming talk with Flick and the coaches to see what's going to happen. And, well, even though he wants to stay at Barca, if Barcelona tell him that what's best for the team is for him to leave, then he will leave. And ladies and gentlemen, that's proof how these youngsters, these La Masia graduates, love the club and are loyal to the club. Because, as I've said many times, in many cases of these players, well, La Masia is their home, right? There are residences there. These players end up living in La Masia. They sleep there, they eat there, they go to school there, they train there, they live there. It becomes their home. And this is why you see this unconditional love for the club. And this is exactly what we're seeing here, because Casado is from Catalonia. He was born there. He was raised there. His family's there. His community's there. Barcelona is the club he grew up in, is the club he wants to be at for the rest of his life. And he's willing to let all that go, to sacrifice all that for what's best for the club, right? For what's best for Barcelona, as long as Barcelona tell him that that's what he needs to do. I mean, that is tremendous from Marc Casado. So we're going to have to wait and see, of course, what Flick decides. Flick will have the final word. Flick will meet with Casado in the upcoming weeks. And, well, he either tell him, yes, stay, or, well, it's best that you leave. And whatever Flick says, Casado is willing to do, which, by the way, he doesn't have to, right? He has a contract. He could just say, no, I want to stay. I'm happy here. But no, Casado willing to sacrifice his own happiness for FC Barcelona. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Bis Barça.